I listened to some Bad Bunny before filming, so hopefully I got my energy up and I'm ready to film. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another plant video. We are talking Lechuza PON updates today. I don't know 100% my feelings about PON yet, but it's definitely on the positive side, and I am just so happy with the progress and just like the care of the plants that I have in Lechuza PON. Let me correct myself there. It's not actually Lechuza PON, it is the recipe that I made. I'll have it linked down below. It's pretty much just equal parts of pumice, lava rock, and zeolite. So those three things are pretty much what make up the brand name Lechuza PON. So a lot of people have taken to just making DIY mixes because Lechuza PON seems to always be out of stock. But I do have a few friends that I think are in Florida. I think my friend Olga is in Florida. She actually posted a video of like finding Lechuza PON in one of her like local nurseries. So you should check out your local nursery, see if possibly they have Lechuza PON there before making your own mix, because both of them are pretty expensive, but I would say buying it locally is probably your best bet in terms of pricing, because price is definitely a con. It is pretty expensive. It's up there. So as you guys can see, and as you guys saw in my last repot with me, PON is pretty much a substrate of just like a bunch of rocks. The lava rock is in there to sort of hold some moisture. The zeolite is in there to remove any impurities or any like harsh minerals that your plant might get. And the pumice is there for like some aeration and also sort of to hold some moisture. But I would say that PON is like very light, very chunky, but the number one thing about it that I really enjoy is the fact that you don't 100% need a reservoir for it. So this little plant right here has just been sitting in this one nursery pot, and it's not been sitting in a reservoir, it's not been doing anything, but it has grown immensely, and there is actually like a new leaf coming out right here. So it's like really taken a liking to this PON mix, and I've really only been watering it probably, I want to say once a week. I just kind of check on it and I'm like, oh yeah, that looks dry, and I water it, and I also sort of water based on weight. So if it's like super light, I know that I need to water, and if it's not light, then I kind of just leave it alone. In terms of nutrients, you do have to add nutrients to this. I know that people always recommend checking pH like no matter what medium your plant is in, and I am willing to bet that a lot of you guys that have soil don't check your pH in soil. But I'd say similar to Leca, you just kind of have to make sure that what you're putting in is actually... Okay, that's another con about, that's another con about PON. That's like a major con. I have spilt PON maybe 4 or 5 times, and I am willing to tell you that PON is 100 times more messy than soil is. Okay, so maybe it's not 100 times more messy, but I will say that it's a little bit more difficult to pick up rocks with a vacuum than it is to pick up soil. I don't know, I just feel really weird, and I kind of feel like my vacuum is gonna get really jacked up from vacuuming up rocks. But this is basically the Syngonium rayi that I put in PON in my last video. So that's an update on this guy. I think that there's 2 new leaves, and then there's 2 new leaves coming in, and it's only been like, I want to say a few weeks. But yeah, that's this guy. My Polyneura is doing so well in PON, and I'm so excited. It actually has a new little vine coming out right there, as you guys can see, and it's only been in PON for a couple of weeks. Like, it has not been that long that it's been in PON. Count how many times, or take a shot every time I say PON. But I really am enjoying this. There's also new growth coming in on the underside of the leaf. It's really doing well, and I'm so excited about it. I did put my Finlaysonii variety in PON in my last video, and it's been doing pretty swell. I don't think that it has any new growth, but I haven't been seeing it decline. And whenever I was potting it up into PON the first time, I was actually getting some like weird dehydration, like the leaves were getting a little bit wrinkly. It was kind of freaking me out. I didn't know what to do. So I put it in PON and the leaves are like really firm and beautiful and nice now. If I would have wanted to transition it to Leca, I think I pretty much would have had to reroot it entirely. And with PON, it didn't need that. So that's amazing. I loved that. So moving on to some plants that actually have so much new growth. This little Mathilde plant is doing fabulously. It only had about 4 leaves whenever I put it into PON, and it was in Leca prior, but it now has about 4 new leaves and it has 2 new stems. Mathildes are fairly easy to care for, so I wouldn't say that I'm 100% surprised, but it's just doing so well and it makes me so happy seeing all the new little baby leaves. The next plant that I want to say is showing some promising growth is the Hoya aldrichii that I got in my last haul video. I actually ended up cutting this in half, so this single leaf is what was already rooted in moss, and I chopped the top and I rerouted that in Leca. The one that's rerooting in Leca currently has no new growth. It hasn't been doing anything. It just has like this amazing, fabulous root system, but no new growth yet. But this guy that I put in PON is giving me, it has 2 new growth points and it has new leaves that are actually coming in. So this whole vine is completely new and the leaf is coming out at the base there. And once again, there is another growth point, so it's just been doing really, really, really nicely. And I'm so excited because it's a plant that I didn't have much experience with, so I wasn't sure what kind of medium, I wasn't sure what kind of care it liked, but it's just doing so well in this. It makes me smile. And then the other plant that I put in PON in one of those 2-inch pots is this Philodendron Rio. Once again, this was a plant that was struggling for me. I actually had it rooted in cocoa husk and it really wasn't doing anything. I was adding nutrients to the cocoa husk thinking possibly it needed more nutrients, was not doing squat, nothing at all. It was just chilling. It was like, no thank you, mom. I am not wanting to grow right now. No new leaves for you. But as soon as I put it in PON, the new leaves started coming in like crazy. Granted, they are coming in pretty small. I would really like it if it would just start putting out bigger leaves, but this leaf is its newest leaf, and I want to say that it's the biggest that it's come out with since I've put it in here. So it's just, I'm really, 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 really liking the fact that my plants aren't dying in this stuff. I just feel like it's made my job a whole lot easier because watering is easier and the plants are really enjoying it. My ZZ plant and my Wilfin were actually the first plants that I put into PON just because I was tired of not knowing when to water and just ignoring them completely. I was like, maybe if you're in PON, you might be a little happier, and they have been like significantly more happy. I do not have them in actual like filled up water reservoirs. I just have a little bit of water at the bottom to where like if they need it, they could use it, but for the most part, I'm still kind of ignoring them. But they're not sitting in that like compact soil from the nursery that they were still in. Here, my Wilfin actually has a new leaf that's coming out right there, and I've been seeing some progress. I really, really, really love my Wilfin. And then my ZZ plant as well. It's really just been chilling. It's been giving me new growth. I think this new vine is entirely new. It's just really nice to have that extra medium to move things to just in case something doesn't work out. So say you have a plant in soil and it's not doing so hot, but you don't want to put it in Leca because you don't want to strip it of all of its roots. Putting it in PON is actually like a pretty good solution, or at least a pretty good thing to experiment with. So I definitely say that it's worth it just because plants have been doing really well. I have not had one plant that's been declining in any way. I actually had my Chinghungensis in Leca and it was just pretty stagnant. Like it wasn't doing anything. It was just like chilling. It had no new leaves. I had been sort of chopping it just because I wanted like a fuller plant because I only had 2 strands. So I was chopping it, sort of expecting to get more growth after chopping, and I didn't. Not even on the plants that I didn't chop, like not even on the stems that I didn't chop, but as soon as I put it in PON, I've started getting new little baby leaves. They've been gorgeous. I adore them. This plant is doing really well, and I honestly think that it's because PON does tend to hold like a little bit more moisture than Leca does. Leca seems to require that reservoir just so that way it could get wet through capillary action, but for PON it seems to just hold moisture pretty regularly, the same way that I'd say that like soil would hold moisture. It just dries out a little bit quicker. I don't really know how to explain it. You really have to try it out for yourself, but once again, there's not too much information or research out there, so I'm sort of just winging it. I have them in PON. I'm watering about once a week. I water with nutrients when I remember to. I'll either up the nutrients or decrease the nutrients based on how they're doing. But once again, I'm just experimenting. Basically, the point of this video is to show you guys that it's really not as scary as it seems. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the PON updates today. If you guys have any questions, just go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. I know that you probably have a ton of them. I really have to say that it is definitely worth your money to try and just sort of invest in having like different mediums for your plants. So like having cocoa husk, having Leca, having PON, having these different things to reroot your plants to see how they're doing. If they're starting to take a dive, I would say that switching your medium is probably your best bet. I think even whenever you have like a root rot issue and you want to like reroot things or you want to have like sort of a change, I think that it's necessary to change the medium to see if they might do better in something else, instead of just putting it back into the same medium that it wasn't doing well in. I'm all about experimentation. I like trying new things for you, so if you like the video, go ahead and hit the like button down below, and if you like me or you like plant videos, go ahead and subscribe if you want to. But that's gonna be it for today's video, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Bye!